Yes, let's continue. Maybe we can close out the conversation on the nothingness in leadership and resilience. In the previous episode, I mentioned or suggested taking the time to consider this thing of elimination and related to the nothingness, getting us to the nothingness, but the elimination process. As I said before, this elimination thing is not new or a new revolutionary concept because we all do that every day. For example, when we eat and breathe, we eliminate as a matter of life, literally. When we consume nutrients in food, we digest the substance. We take it in. The body then deconstructs the substance and then distributes the good parts of the substance to the body, parts of the body for use. And also in that elimination process, what is not useful to the body will be taken out, routed to the elimination department, if you will, and that stuff leaves the body. And how we breathe, that process is very similar, but the substance then in the breathing process is the air. So the elimination of fear and ego in leadership does not mean that those aspects are gone forever. Of course, there'll be remnants, residual effects from that cleanup and elimination. Like, think Charmin bathroom tissue if you need to, for necessary. The constant lesson is to remember and know this as nothing but a reference and as a guide to lead yourself before allowing anyone else to lead you. To be led by is far different from leading through or leading with. It is humility that allows me to access the beauty that I write and speak of, the gateway to the beauty within and before I could witness or express beauty without or outside of me. It is also the segue to share the observation of power and force in leadership and in resilience, how the humility may seem at variance with power or force applied defensively or offensively through ego and fear. Humility is not a retreat into seclusion or hiding from reality. It is the acceptance, non-resistance, non-judgmental, non-attachment to the forms that appear in the space of now. For me to get and sustain myself through these forms and transitions in time, the simplest and available way to get there, to be here, is through humility. Affirmations can be helpful in reminding you and resetting your premises, but the questions are more inviting for you to receive the answer energy or the energy of an answer, not to analyze it, but to accept and learn and then teach yourself first. Then to share without expectation beyond yourself. Why expect anything from what you yourself are learning to share and to teach? That knowledge becomes history the moment you learn of it. The moment you teach it also exists and passes very quickly. The sustaining process is to continue to understand, to apply, to grow with the uncomfortableness temporarily, and to be current with the now. The humility access point to you in now for the ego and fear method to subside with regularity. You want ego and fear to subside. But in that subsiding of ego and fear, that gives rise to your confidence, which, when combined with your humility, reinforces your courage. So, we're getting closer to concluding this conversation about the nothingness in leadership and in resilience. The definition of nothing, the subject or the object, which is sustainable. The definition of nothing is a dichotomy. The definition or discovery of nothing or no thing is a very short trip in the exercise. It, you, your essence is within. That space allows everything to exist. Your accommodations, your content proceeds from the context, the concept, the reality construct of you. Your construct is just another pointer, a guide, a description of you. The real essence, the real energy of you is beyond and before any fixed definition. Your thoughts can guide you forward in your journey as long as they lead you to the consistency of your being, the nothingness within that is the productive power and force of you. As I said before, I do have nothing to give you. Actually, I have nothing to share with you. But would you like some? Good. Since it is already within and without, the connection between us that refers not to or through ego or fear, but only through our respective beauty and presence today. Something I call translucent leadership, translucent accountability and responsibility. I mean this by connecting leadership, resilience, accountability, responsibility for the business of embracing the value of the individual, not as well as the organization, but the individual is the organization. But going a bit further, is that what I'm doing without fear and ego involved? I propose today, in previous episodes, and in the book itself, I propose a process or baseline for original and organic questions for you to use. This is not a chore or a task, but as maybe a mantra, a daily prayer exercise, or maybe a checklist or to-do list for that period of time. This may help you to unlock the interoperability of leaders within the organization to develop collaboration with interchangeable, resilient components and without fear and ego. The essential part of this conversation is to apply the answers and lessons outlined above to the validated as-is environment to maintain a wider view, a bigger picture, especially in transition from the status quo to a new dynamic, and with the vigilance and waves of awareness, waves of exposure on translucent leadership. I'm almost there. Give me maybe one more episode on this topic to close out a definition of nothing in leadership, a definition of nothing in resilience. So stand by, pay attention, stay present, stay current. No matter where you are in this world, remember, it is always 8:20.